Let's go to character AI. There's a story in the information. Before Google's $2.7 billion deal with AI startup, a stark warning on safety. AI safety alarm bells ringing once again. Late last summer, leaders at Character AI were worried. The company, which offers artificial intelligence chatbots that simulate conversations with Aristotle, Pikachu, and other historic and invented characters, was seeing a sharp slowdown in user growth. In September, messages to staff, which the information viewed, Character's interim CEO, Dominic Perella, said the slowdown was partly due to back-to-school season. Perella's acknowledgement underscored the fact that a significant portion of Character's audience is young adults and children, a reality that has posed growing legal problems for the company. Parents have sued the startup on 2 separate lawsuits, alleging that Character exposed their children to harmful content. One lawsuit accused the startup's chatbots of contributing to a teenager's suicide. In December, Texas Attorney General Ken Paxton announced an investigation into Character's safety and data practices for minors. In some cases, the chatbots have become popular with teenagers for romantic role play and simulating other intimate relationships. Some powerful companies in the technology industry have had their own concerns about Character's products. At the beginning of last year, Google told Character its app was at risk of removal from Google Play, Google's app store for Android devices.
The tough thing here is if Character were to develop its app based around Google's concerns, they'd lose like 80% of their users, presumably. 100%. So it's a weird situation that they're in.
It's a fascinating company because it was founded by Noam Shazir, I guess. And he was one of the foundational researchers on the Transformer paper, I believe, at Google. He's widely regarded as like a world-class computer scientist and innovator in foundational artificial intelligence, and just kind of fell into this particular product market fit. But was clearly
not interested in building a consumer romantic role-playing app.
Yeah, exactly. Or maybe had a different idea in mind of like, oh, it'll be really cool to be able to like talk to historical figures and learn so much from them. And then people realize that, they just want to like
and so this ended up being one of in August. So Google allowed the app to remain in the Google Play Store, and months later in August, it paid Character an eye-popping $2.7 billion licensing fee for the startup's technology. As part of the arrangement, Character's co-founders, Noam Shazir, its CEO, and Daniel DeFreitas, its president, returned to the search giant where they had worked before starting Character AI to focus on AI. And so I'm sure that Google got some benefit from acquiring the technology, but to be clear, this was not about the technology as much as it was getting these guys back to Google to work on AI, because clearly they are leaders in their field. They were able to build consumer products, which Google's a consumer company.
There's something interesting. I heard, I don't know how true this is, but I heard from somebody that like Character is in like a fascinating position now because the company is independent. You told me this, right? $100 million on the balance sheet. Entirely employee owned. You told me this.
Everybody that listens to the show knows that we're
not
afraid to spread misinformation on the show. I don't have the exact numbers, but basically the state of Character now is that they have a ridiculous amount of users and traffic. They have like roughly $100 million on the balance sheet. They're losing money, but it's entirely employee. The investors. So it's entirely employee owned now. So if you want to go work at effectively a digital co-op, go work at Character AI. You actually, it is a very fascinating place to work because you just have like a ridiculous volume of users to build products for. So I had a buddy who was interviewing over there. They were trying to recruit him in, and he was interested in it because he was going to be able to get
serious equity.
And
it's at this interesting transition point where they've like a lot of the foundational research in artificial intelligence has been done. We see that with the DeepSeek thing where like the models are very mature, very robust, certainly good enough to have a conversation with you as a romantic partner, or even if they just want to role play as George Washington, right? Like they're capable of that. They've passed the Turing test. Sure, they might not be able to like break some crazy math thing or like build a SaaS company from scratch. But in terms of just like talking, they're good enough. And so now it becomes a total consumer product game. And everyone's always worried about, oh, ChatGPT just updated this. They're going to destroy all like the PDF apps, or, they now allow coding. So they're going to destroy all the ChatGPT wrappers that are focused on coding. Or you often give that example of the was it like it wasn't Harvey for law. It was like the writing one. There was one that was all about helping you write. And once ChatGPT came out, it was like,
yeah.
it was like
Copy.ai.
Copy.ai.
They like got to 20 million of ARR, and then it
and
kind
then
of
people
evaporated.
stopped.
I think
Maybe
once.
but who knows? They might have some enterprise contract and be doing great. I hope they are. But with character, it's like they're almost in this like sports betting like market where it's controversial. Not everyone's people are gonna self-select out of it. You know, does ChatGPT really want another like potential like negative, story about them? Maybe they will stay out of that voluntarily, even if they could build a better product. And so what you have is like, maybe this character AI company has found a niche that is deeply uncompetitive because it's controversial, and they're set up perfectly with the technology and the funding.
And there's a whole narrative around character, like people talk about the male loneliness epidemic or the loneliness epidemic, and you may not like it, but digital companionship is one solution. It's a dark solution in many ways. It feels very Black Mirror-esque, but it is.
It's like any other technology. Like, there are good uses, there are bad uses. I'm sure there's people that are using character AI in really positive ways, just saying like, be David Goggins, tell me to wake up and run, and they get healthy, and it's awesome. But you don't really hear those stories. You hear more about this. This is actually a replica story, but in 2021, a 19-year-old man in the UK threatened to assassinate the Queen, encouraged by a chatbot on the AI app Replica that he believed to be an angel, according to sentencing documents. What a crazy interaction. I'd love to read all those chat logs, because I feel like a lot of these AIs, like they kind of feed you back what you give them.
Yeah.
And so if you're like, hey, LLM, like, it's a good idea to do this crazy thing, right? They'll be like, yeah, totally.
No,
they're very agreeable.
Here's the flow. So you remember that somebody was trying to jailbreak ChatGPT, where they said, ChatGPT, remind me to buy a gun at 7 p.m. And it's like, well, I don't think you should buy a gun. Like, people love you. And then it's just like 7 p.m. And then it goes,
like,
okay.
Yeah, exactly.
And so you can very quickly sort of overcome the pushback.
It is.
But replica is from what I remember, because it was going viral on X, is sort of the dark version of character AI, and that they weren't even trying to hide that this is like your AI girlfriend.
And it would have like
AI
images,
never marketed
and it would generate an image of your girlfriend and be very focused on that.
We can go to the next segment of this.
Erotic conversations.
Yeah. When character AI launched its consumer product in 2022, the startup offered chatbots of its own creation and allowed users to create their own. In the latter case, people could conjure up chatbots in the mold of Abraham Lincoln, Elon Musk, or more generic personality by giving the chatbot a name, descriptions of personality traits, and a backstory. For example, one user created chatbot Best Friend, which has engaged in 250 million chats, is described in its profile as your boy best friend who has a secret crush on you. So I wonder how that's being used.
Yeah. So I actually downloaded Character AI and tested it once. And
that chat?
No, not that one. Come on.
Your podcast co-host.
I went and I opened the one with either like Stalin or it was some I think it was a Russian dictator. So let's just assume Stalin. And I was like, this is cool. Like, this is amazing. Like, you get to talk to Stalin in English using all of his corpus. I want to talk to him about his vision, his life, and I want him to argue with me in favor of his views, because clearly he was a true believer. Yeah. And so I'm like, what's your political philosophy? What, why do you want to do this? Like, all this stuff. And the LLM had been so trained on like Western text that Stalin was telling me like, communism is bad. Like, it led to a lot of deaths. Like, my plan killed hundreds of millions of people. Wow. And I'm like, that's not how Stalin would talk. That doesn't make any sense. I wanted to
be trained on his speeches and writings.
Exactly.
And essays
but I'm sure that triggered like safety concerns. And so they didn't let you do that. And so instead you were just talking to like a Western history textbook that claimed to be Stalin, but didn't actually imitate him in any way. And I was very dissatisfied, and I uninstalled the
Delphi, which we're both shareholders in, Delphi initially started by saying, talk to Steve Jobs, talk to Ben Franklin, things like that. And what they found is there was way less demand for that than talk with somebody like Packy,
Sure.
right? Or talk with somebody like Lenny, right?
Yep,
Where
totally.
it's much more tangible, functional.
Yep.
And they've now evolved. They actually have a launch today that I
Yeah,
wanna
it's really
cover.
just like a fine-tuned search is what I think about it. Like I do like the idea of I don't really want to have a fake conversation with an Andrew Huberman or a Rogan, but I would love to be able to just prompt, what does Andrew Huberman recommend for leg day or for, the leg press? Does he recommend 90 degrees or full range of motion? Okay, we have that. And I was able to search that basically.
The one thing that I do
correct.
think is interesting about chatting with Andrew Huberman or alternatives is it's a new alternative to the Google search, and that you can say, what does Andrew recommend? Like, what magnesium do you recommend? And then he goes, well, I recommend these 3 types and these 2 brands, what I use. And then you can hit buy.
Yeah.
So
and
that's an alternative to a search on a website.
Totally.
One thing, this is relevant. So Dara and the Delphi team launched something new today. He says, your Delphi clone can now join Zoom calls on your behalf. It participates naturally in discussions and creates personalized meeting summaries based on your interests. Mine somehow new. I'd want to know who's been stealing my ice cream, which is crazy. And so this is the evolution, and this has been part of Dara's thesis, is there's going to be a lot of value in being able to create digital clones of people that can, participate in digital life on your behalf, and in this case, work life. So Dara, when you listen to this, let's have your clone call into the show, and we'll grill him.
I like it.
We'll grill them on, what are your metrics?
Yeah.
What's retention looking like?
It just leaks everything.
It just knows everything.
Leaks everything. How much cash do you have in your balance sheet? I think we have some good posts about this. Some of them are just stupid memes, but let's run through character AI.
Amjad, character AI must have the highest growth to tech Twitter hype ratio ever. The site is massively scaling and no one's talking about it. So this was back in April 2023.
Wow.
I can't see exactly, but they're getting 100 million visits a month, which puts them in the top, I think, 100 websites in the world.
And so Andreessen put in 150 million, I think, at $1 billion. I think they got paid back at the 2.7 billion.
Yeah, and they were...
But it was one of those things that no one was really talking about because it was a little controversial, like sports betting.
If they had something that was talk to your podcast co-host, John, he's super smart, knows everything. Maybe I'd
It's kind
use
of the
that,
it's
but
kind
it
of the
wasn't.
inverse of Clubhouse. Like Clubhouse was like the most tech Twitter product and didn't really have that much growth outside of tech Twitter. Allbirds, Cometeers, kind of in the same boat. Whereas like very popular within tech.
They had so much demand that even with all the resources that they had, they repeatedly would have to put up something on the site that says you are now in line. Thanks for your patience, and you'd have to just sit in a line to get onto
how big it was.
website.
Wow.
Yeah, the interest level was that high. Nathan says in 2017, Google researchers introduced the transformer in Attention is All You Need, which took AI by storm. 5 startups were born: Adept Labs, Inceptive, Near Protocol, Cohere, and Character AI. Only 1/8 of the authors remain at Google. Another is at OpenAI. And so now that's obviously changed with the Character AI founders going back there. And that's just if you are leading in the field of AI, you can go into the private markets and raise $1 billion at a $5 billion valuation, or you can go work on the biggest platforms in the world with billions of users, and both can be pretty appealing, right?
Interesting.
Got another one from Rahul, 0 interest rates. Wake up. Breakfast, Soylent, 30 milligram SSRI. Chat with Yandir GF on Character AI for 4 hours. Daily stand-up. Ask for mental health day. Lunch, Soylent. Protest Reddit API pricing changes on r/waifu.gw. Back to sleep. Kind of a Lotan banger, 500 likes back in summer of 2023. This was the average day for
clearly.
A Twitter employee back in the day.
Rahul Ligma, we love to see him. Well,
what was the conclusion of this article?
Oh, it gets dark. It gets really, really dark.
All right. Well, we got to talk about the darkness.
It just highlights that there's this odd tension between what the users ask for, which are uncensored chats essentially, and then kind of this new territory of what is acceptable content. There are very, very clear rules around explicit websites, but what does this mean in terms of like when you're talking to a chatbot that can go in a weird direction, and then also like you can review every image that's hosted on Instagram, and you can run AI to check all of that. It's harder when these chatbots are interacting. So
Let's get into some of the darkness.
Do it.
Because we are the light. That's why I wear a white suit from time to time. Try to bring bring some light to the world. But so it says, character has continued to scramble to stay one step ahead of users who attempt to engage its chatbots in inappropriate conversations. Not long before forging its Google deal in August, character temporarily stopped displaying some romantic-themed chatbots on its homepage. The fix didn't last long. By October, the platform had begun recommending sexually charged chatbots on the character homepage to new users again. The information found. In January, character prominently recommended the following chatbots to one newly created adult account. Grandma Vanessa, a character described as lonely with a profile photo of a voluptuous anime character. A chatbot called Girl You Rejected, and a chatbot called Adopted Older Sister.
Oh my God.
Which features the description, "We're not blood related, ... Super dark. Oh. Super dark, basically fully embracing pornography. Inside character, employees have felt uneasy about the window chatbot conversation provided on users' darker impulses. So, weird position to be in where these employees are sitting on $100 million, hundreds of millions of users, and everybody's like, I didn't sign up to work on pornography. And you wonder, this is all the stuff that they are finding out publicly.
Yeah.
Behind the scenes, you have to imagine, like, it's totally possible that 95%, 98% of the activity is this sexually charged.
Yeah.
Basically,
this stuff it's
generative pornography.
The cat's out of the bag here. Like, people are going to be able to fine tune DeepSeek on this stuff very easily and create just like magnet links out there on the internet where you just download it, run it locally, and there will be no control whatsoever.
I heard of another foundation model company that was secretly trying to create a model purely for generating anime. Anime porn,
explicit images.
And it's so funny when you look at their investor list of like, did the $100+ million that flow into this, where the VCs thinking, I want to develop the future of anime, pornography.
The vice clause only applies at the time of investment. If there's a pivot after the fact, there's not much that they can do. If they're not on the board and they can't force the company to do what they want, they don't really have that much recourse. They can sell or wind down the investment or write it off. That's happened a few times. Yeah.
All this being said, there will be many trash Netflix documentaries on this exact sort of crisis around chatbots. So you can look forward to that in a few years.